Made in Thunder is one hell of a tagline, but it seems fitting when talking about an Italian stunner producing north of 800 horsepower. This is the latest electric offering from Maserati, and it sounds like one heck of a machine. Meet the GranCabio Folgore. For the brand with the trident in the grille, Folgore is the electric side of the family. It all started with the Grecale EV and the Gran Turismo Coupe, and now a convertible joins the party. Well, there was also an Italian fighter plane from the 40s, but that has ties to Alfa Romeo, not Maserati, wasn't electric, and we don't need to dive into that one today. Back to the electric cars because there's more Folgore on the horizon. The MC20 will get a Folgore variant, as will the Quattroporte, and then assuming Maserati gives the Levante and Ghibli a revival with the new generation, those two would also likely then get a Folgore version. Today, though, let's focus on the dashing drop top that is the GranCabrio. Style-wise, it shares lines with the coupe Gran Turismo, and that's, of course, a very good thing. The profile looks fantastic, and the staggered 20-inch front and 21-inch rear wheel and tire setup fills out the sculpted fenders perfectly. In the cabin, Maserati uses a seat trim made from recycled nylon. There's a 12.3-inch display in the center, a great Sonus Faber sound system, and then, rather nicely since this is a convertible, Maserati fits the GranCabrio with neck warmers for those two front seats. For any kids riding in the back seat on a chilly day with the top down, we'll have to make do with a scarf or something. Regardless, the driver will be smiling since there's a ton of power on tap here. Maserati uses a trio of motors that pull from a battery pack with a net rating of 83 kilowatt hours. You get a motor for each of the rear wheels, and the third motor powers the front axle. Altogether, you're looking at 818 horsepower in max boost mode. Normally, it doles out only 751 horsepower. Per Maserati, at least on the coupe, but it should be the same here, the 0 to 60 mile per hour run takes just 2.7 seconds. But the charging speed is also quick since the Folgore uses an 800 volt setup. You can charge at a rate of up to 270 kilowatts, and you'll likely need to do that a bunch of times if you can't keep your foot out of it because the power is likely to be rather intoxicating. In terms of driving range, the GranCabrio is rated to deliver 278 miles on Europe's WLTP cycle, so a more realistic figure here in the States is likely 235 to 240 miles or so. Not stellar, but the person who buys a car like this typically isn't using it as their only vehicle, so they can pull something out of the garage that makes sense for longer journeys. Which is a bit of a shame considering Maserati typically makes some of the best Grand Tourer type machines out there. If the range could rise to north of 300, then we'd have something to sit in that same space. Still, it's a stunner to look at, it must drive like a monster with all that power, and the cabin looks suitably luxurious. As Maserati marches towards a fully electrified lineup, I will lament missing out on some truly all-time great engine notes, but I'm thrilled at the idea of this much power stuffed into a package with this shape.